Constantly shifting through the time-space continuum, Metron's three disciples observe the universe from the Mobius Couch.
World, keep on turning. Soldiers, keep on warring. People, welcome to the Mobius Couch, a time-space interdimensional vehicle from which your three humble hosts oversee the world of comics and comic book movies. All right, so people of the world, welcome. I'm Alessandro, one of your three hosts, and joining me are, as usual, Joe.
Oh, hey.
And Patrick.
Hello, everyone.
And I know what you're all thinking. Oh, three hosts and they're talking about comics. Why isn't the podcast called 3-Page Spread or 3-Page Splash? Funny you should mention that. That was one of the top contenders for the title for this podcast, but we didn't go with it for reasons I can't legally discuss on air. So we're actually called the Mobius Couch, and today we're going to talk about Matt Fraction and David. Is it Aja? Is it Aya? Is it Aha? How do you pronounce it? Does anybody know?
That's an excellent question, and as usual, I've done my homework, unlike you, Al, and I have no idea.
Yeah, but we're talking about the Matt Fraction, David Aja Hawkeye run from the 2012, 13 range?
Yeah, I think it's 2012, I think.
Which was critically acclaimed, everybody. All the trade paperbacks I got have the phrase critically acclaimed around all of this. So it was a big deal. I guess I'm going to bury the lead a bit. I didn't read this at the time. Not really my cup of tea. None of this.
Yeah, you'd mentioned that, which overall, I don't remember I like it a little less than the first time I read it. I will say that. Like the first issue is really disjointed. And I was like, why is this split up in this manner? Like it makes almost no sense. Right after that, it gets kind of normal and it's not as like jumping around constantly. But the first issue is almost confusingly jumping around like too quickly. Like the next page is 10 minutes ago. And then the next page is 3 hours later. And the next page is 4 days ago. And then the next and you're just like, what the fuck is going on? Why don't you just tell it in order? But I think once you get the gist of like what's going on, it kind of flattens out and irons out a little bit. But like definitely the first issue, I was like, I don't remember this jumping around so much. And it's not necessarily a useful tool in this instance.
Yeah, I agree with everything y'all both said. So the concept of it is interesting. The concept is this is what Hawkeye does when he's not doing missions with the Avengers. So it's kind of pitched as this slice of life aspect to a superhero, which we just covered Daredevil last episode, and we talked about how Bendis did a really good job of making Daredevil's personal life seem as interesting as the superhero life, and I feel like that's what they were trying to do here with Hawkeye. I like the art a lot. I like the composition of all the pages.
Yeah, and I love the art.
How they show action, things of that nature. But yeah, like you said, it jumps around the timeline too much, and they don't give you enough context clues to let you know when you've jumped into the past and into the future and how far back it's going usually. Like I was constantly having to flip back pages to be like, where the fuck are we? And I think what threw me off was that the first time they messed with the time, it's all self-contained in the same issue. And then they started doing stuff where the time would jump in between issues. And that really threw me off because there's an issue where it starts off with Black Widow, Mockingbird, and Spider-Woman seeing this redhead make out with
8.
Yeah, so that it like starts with that and then it jumps away from that and doesn't circle back to that until the next issue, which really confused me. And Hawkeye's just he's not a likable character to me. I don't really see the appeal. I feel like they try to make him this kind of anti-hero character, kind of similar to like
more of an everyman, but I don't know if they've achieved it.
Yeah, he comes off as too much of a prick. I did like that the fact that he, when he falls out of a building, he's in the hospital for 6 weeks and all that kind of stuff.
I do
that
like
was very interesting.
There's a really cool, not to cut you off or jump ahead, but when he's shooting a bow, Kate is talking to him and it spreads out like every letter of every word. And he's like, pull the string, take a breath, like loosen, that kind of like that idea. And I was like, that was really fucking cool that they like slowed that moment down, showing what it is he does every fucking time he fires a bow in issue 2 or whatever, kind of thing, like right off the bat sort of thing, was pretty fucking cool. Because I mean, if you're gonna make it a book about Hawkeye and make him seem interesting, like you at least gotta showcase that one thing that he can do that is amazing, that he just like can fucking hit anything.
But back to Patrick's point, I mean, I don't know. I feel like character-wise, they were trying to set up sort of a lovable loser type for Hawkeye, but then he's just not very lovable. He's just kind of an asshole, and
he does say as much though. So like, I don't know if that's like he constantly says, I'm an asshole, sorry, like, oh hey, sorry, like
I know, but they also
but it doesn't make it better, it just makes it just points out that he also knows he's an asshole,
I guess, but they also keep showing how like countless women are attracted to him and tripping over themselves to fuck him, even though he's this asshole that doesn't seem to have any redeeming qualities. So I'm not sure what message they're trying to send.
Assholes get all the girls,
I guess.
That's the message.
I guess that's it.
Message out.
Going back to I actually kind of didn't mind the time warps going on.
I just felt like in the first issue it was a little too fire.
And I think it's a reference to, I might be talking out of my butt because I'm not like a film studies person. And I put the mic right under my butt and I am talking out of it. So that's why I'm talking out of my butt. But I think, so if you look at the comic aesthetically, it's very visually kind of like 60s, 70s, like a lot of 70s, like bullet style action movies, a lot of 60s French new wave looking stuff. Like later when the evil clown comes in, he's got like a Marcel Marceau mime face.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that might be sort of like a 60s French new wave cinema trope to not have like linear narrative. I could be making that up, but I think it was kind of like in that genre / aesthetic of the 60s, 70s and that kind of thing.
Something this book does do that I love was make Kate Bishop a badass, and she's awesome. I kind of read it for her. Actually, I like going back now and realizing why I like this book so much is because I love the Kate Bishop character in it. And every time she had like more of an issue to herself, I was like all for it and I loved it. I think in the next volume, it's volume 2 in hardback, but it's volume like 3 and 4 and paperback, trade paperback or whatever. But she's fantastic.
Yeah, I just read the whole run. I mean, I know we're only doing the first 11 issues today, but I read the part where like she's solo in LA and all
yeah,
that
that's fantastic. That's really good. And there's a lot of really good Kate Bishop stuff. And I guess that's why I was like, hey, let's read Hawkeye. Because I was like, wait a minute. Now I realize I didn't really read that for Hawkeye. I read it for Kate Bishop. Also Hawkeye, I guess. But
I agree with y'all. Kate, every scene Kate Bishop's in this run is the best scene of that issue. She has so many little fun one-liners.
She steals the show. It's not even funny.
Oh, big time. I mean, I felt like it was a vehicle basically to, obviously to develop Hawkeye, but they did a lot of work with Kate Bishop in this because I knew about her. I read Young Avengers, and she comes off cool in Young Avengers.
She's okay
likable
in Young Avengers, but I was never like, she's the best. But when they put her into this, I was like, oh my God. I love
that. And I did read a later run on Young Avengers that I think takes place after this. And if it does, I think they pulled a lot from this run because she's very much like this in that run on Young Avengers as well. And I do like going back to what you were talking about earlier when Hawkeye talks about all the different positions he's in when he's shooting an arrow. I loved getting Hawkeye's POV of Kate Bishop because he constantly talks about how she's the best archer he's ever seen.
And she's the best. Like every time she's like in his head, he'll be like, God damn it, look at her. She's the best. Like something like that. Like when she does something.
Love everything about Kate Bishop.
Yeah, I didn't really like their relationship. Like, how old is she? She's an adult, right? She's barely legal, at least. She's fully legal.
At the very least, she's like 18 to 20 in that range, or maybe 21.
Because
kind of in that like, I'm not a child anymore, but I'm not really an adult phase of life.
Okay, because Young Avengers, I just thought it was like Teen Titans where they're 13-year-olds or something.
Oh no, it was sort of. They were kind of like, I wouldn't say they were more like 15, 16 or something. Maybe when the book started.
It's one of those weird comic book things how younger characters will
like kind of age up, but then but no one else does.
Because they don't really, even with Wiccan and Hulking, I've read a lot of current stuff with them in it, and like they're men now, but I think they've only really been in real world continuity for like a year, but they've gone from like 16-year-olds to 25-year-olds since then.
Yeah, I don't know. I still just
The point is, I think Kate Bishop's age is supposed to be very ambiguous in this, because there's even that scene where she asked the villain, how old are you? And he responds, and it's almost like you almost think he's going to ask her the same question. He doesn't, which I thought was a little strange.
Yeah, well, I guess they don't want you to sexualize a 14-year-old, so she's got to be 18 or
She's
whatever.
definitely not 14. She's older than that.
But still, because the trailer for the Hawkeye show, like in that show, Hawkeye's married and like has another family, and it's a very like avuncular, non-sexual relationship between the two. This one in the comics seemed a little bit more sort of.
I think it's kind of like
romantic.
The line is there and they don't cross it, but there's different times when
there,
one of them,
right?
one or the other one wants to, but they don't for whatever reason.
Yeah,
but I don't think they ever match up.
Ever problematic.
Yeah, it's definitely there because I feel like Kate Bishop's the only one that sees through Clint's bullshit, and they do kind of give you the idea that they're going to hook up at some point, and Kate's going to fall for him. And I was really cringing at the idea that happens. It does not, as far as I'm aware, but there's that whole weird panel of Kate asking Hawkeye why he chose her to be, I guess, his apprentice, and his answer is that I don't want to have sex with you, and she's like, you don't want to have sex with me. That's why you chose me, and he's like, yes. I'm like, what is this?
I think what he's saying is, I mean, that was a horrible line, and I agree with you. But I think what they're trying to say was like, there's no danger of me ever wanting to sexually have a sexual relationship with you. Therefore, I trust myself around you, which is a horrible statement. However, I guess less horrible than just saying I don't want to fuck you, like kind of thing. But
yeah, but then so later it shows. I think
he's kind of just, the idea is that like he just sleeps with every woman that he's around or something like that, and I think that's the idea. And then him saying like, well, you can be around because I have no desire to have sex with you, so therefore you're safe, so to speak, which is fucked up.
Yeah, anyway. But then her reaction is she seems sort of disappointed.
I think she just took that as any human being would be, where they were like, wait, so I'm not attractive? Like, what the fuck? I don't think she took it like,
I was like commiserating on her bed about it, and like
I couldn't tell at all. I couldn't read that scene at all. Is he real? She did seem disappointed by it, I think, but at the same time, she was kind of, when he said that, she was like, so does that mean you want to have sex with Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Like,
and he didn't answer the question.
I'm like, is this
like, I think it was a little
that
bit
one was a good line
though. A joke made in bad taste, but still just a joke. Like, I don't really think they were trying to like over sexualize the situation or make it weird. I think it was kind of just a joke of like Hawkeye puts his foot in his mouth all the time and he's an idiot, kind of thing. Like, I don't think it was like meant to be this breakdown of their sexual relationship or whatever.
Well, I think it's weird because I think they almost wrote that scene specifically to be like, see, we're aware that it could be weird, but it's not. But I'm like, I feel like by drawing that much attention to it, it made it even more confusing for me.
I don't know. Maybe having him say the words out loud actually made a lot of people go, oh, this will be a fun buddy cop comedy, instead of having this weird like relationship thing hovering over it the whole time. Like, maybe they just wanted to get it out of the way.
That's fair. I guess that's true. I don't know. And I did read, I mean, a spoiler alert for the whole run, but Patrick, even like at the end of the fourth trade paperback, I mean, nothing happens with them. So I mean, it's
good. I'm glad to hear that.
Although they do, I don't know. I'm not sure if maybe I'm misreading it. It does seem like they're kind of, I don't know. It seems like she's maybe sort of into him.
I think it's more like mutual respect and like a brotherly, sisterly love bond, and less of like sexual in nature.
She talks about his abs.
But I kind of like that when because he runs out.
He's got good abs.
But that specific scene, I read that issue twice, I think.
That's a fantastic issue, by the way.
He comes running out. I forget what's happening, but he was just banging that redhead, and so he comes running out naked, and he's putting his clothes on when he's running to her car, and she's just like, really, with the abs and everything, like almost as if like you really didn't have time to put your fucking shirt on before you ran out here.
Yeah. Like, what the fuck? Come on.
Well, she does the little Lolita sunglass move thing.
Again, because they handled her character development so deftly. She only has so many lines, especially in those first few issues, but they're such perfect lines that when she does that, when she looks at him, I feel like she's not checking him out. She's kind of like reading him for filth, like a drag queen would read someone. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
I'm on Patrick's page on this one. I think that was just innocent stupidity and fun.
All right, I rest my case.
My favorite fucking thing that she says is, how's it gonna feel? How's it gonna feel deep down in your man bits when I drive this car better than you ever dreamed was possible? Because I'm about to, and it's so fucking funny.
No, I mean, I don't.
The car, and he's like,
she's like, awesome.
I'm about to drive, and I'm gonna do it better than you ever would have.
Sticking with the I Love Kate Bishop train, the issue when they go to like the Cirque du Soleil event, and she knocks out one of the dancers and kind of goes in and infiltrates it.
So this is a funny instance of like exactly what we're talking about. Like Kate achieves what she's supposed to achieve, and Clint gets beat up and knocked out. Anyway, go on. Well,
again, it's a scene where she saves Clint, and she references earlier in the issue, I guess, Alessandro, you probably know how to pronounce his name. Is it Domitian, some Greek emperor she brings up that could...
He was Roman, but Roman.
Yeah. So she talks about how he could shoot 4 arrows at the same time, and they're running away from the bad guys later in the issue, and she jumps out the window backwards, like into a pool. And while she's pulling the drawstring back, Clint does the whole like controls her breathing. She tenses her back. Yeah. She pulls the string. And then it cuts to Kate, and she just goes, "Suck it, Domitian," and she shoots 5 arrows off of her bowstring. It was so perfect. Everything about her is fantastic.
It is fucking perfect.
But yeah, I also, so going back to the whole time skip thing, the 2 issues that are about like the Shield mole hunt and that you think Hawkeye killed somebody, they're trying to get the tape and all that. I mean, that was a cool trick. How I did like how you kind of follow Hawkeye's through line through all that.
That's
and like
fantastic. And you only see Kate for a second.
And then you look
if you're
back,
not like eagle-eyeing it, like you wouldn't know it's her.
Yeah, but then you look back and then they reveal that in the time that Hawkeye had gotten to Madripoor, whatever it's called in Marvel Universe, and basically done nothing but like bumble about and get beat up and achieve 0. She's infiltrated like Madame Mask's entire organization.
I know, it's fantastic.
Her leadership role. Like I thought that was a cool twist of like while he's achieving nothing, she's just already.
That's what that is what makes this run so good. It's like how she's constantly overshadowing him. There's this really funny panel. I have no idea when it happens, but I don't think it's in this first bit. But someone just goes like, "What do you guys like hang out or something?" And she's like, "He doesn't hang out with me." Or I was like, "I don't hang out with him. He hangs out with me," or something like that. It's so fun. Like she's just so like quickly like, no. He's a fucking idiot.
Those Madripoor issues, I think the guy's name is Javier Pulido, drew those. And yeah, I mean, I'm assuming he's Spanish or European because it's almost like a Tintin French.
It does have kind of a little bit of a Tintin vibe to it, doesn't
aesthetic
it?
To his art. But that kind of like general sort of European comic look.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's got a little bit of that vibe going on.
Sticking with that issue, so Kate Bishop infiltrates the villain's organization by taking down Madame Mask, and it really shocked me because if y'all don't know who Madame Mask is, she's a pretty hardcore super villain, and I was shocked that Kate could handle her of her level. And it's kind of funny because then Madame Mask goes after her for doing that to her, and it's almost like Kate got the drop on Madame Mask since she didn't really know how dangerous Madame Mask was. She didn't really think about what would happen after the fact, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Well, she apparently makes zombie cyborg copies of people to keep them young.
Madame Mask does?
Yeah, that's what the LA arc is about.
Oh. I just remember her from Bendis's run on New Avengers when she's like...
Yeah, the exploration of Madame Mask and the Kate Bishop like in LA issues is fantastic. We definitely circle back to that at some point.
Sure he does.
Even though Al hated Hawkeye as a book.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, yeah, I don't know. Hate's sort of strong. It wasn't my cup of tea, as I said.
There's going back to the Cirque du Soleil issue, when Kate shoots those 5 arrows, it cuts to the guy, like the thugs, and she shoots them all in the eyeballs, and it's gruesome. And it cuts to her. It cuts to her and Clint, and she's like, "They're not dead. They're probably blind for the rest of their life."
For life,
And I thought it was a funny thing because it is
because she asks him, like, she's like, "Did I get him?" And he's like, "In the eyes, Kate." Like, as in, like, it was fucked up, but yeah, you did. The car driving issue, real quick, is fun in the way that, like, it's all the dumb trick arrows and none of them are labeled. And the whole bit is like every time she hands him an arrow and he's trying to shoot at the cars behind them, stupid or doesn't work, or
Yeah,
he just keeps. It's pretty fun.
One thing about that issue, though, and this isn't every action movie ever does the same thing. In any 24 hours of any day, there's never that little amount of traffic in New York streets to where you could drive fast and have an action scene. It never happens. It would be impossible.
Never occurs.
They're driving. I don't know if it's it looks like maybe the Manhattan Bridge, and they're doing like a high-speed car chase on it. It's inconceivable that there would ever be enough room to do a high-speed car chase.
His description when he says, "Underneath the baked summer scent of hot garbage, wet pennies, and pee, you can kind of smell fresh air." Does that sound familiar to you?
No, you can't smell the fresh air.
Good.
That part isn't accurate.
I love the car issue too, because the whole point is that he loves the car and wants to buy it, and then every single panel is just something else bad happening to the car. And then later on, he still has it, and the hood's a different color, and there's no side mirror and stuff like that. And you're just like, that's fucking good. So it's really good that he still has it. And it's just this piece of shit.
Can we circle back real quick? The main gang that he's fighting. So the overall
bro. We can circle back anytime you want, bro.
Let's circle back to the Russian bro.
Bro, we can circle back, bro.
The bros was so annoying. Oh my God.
They're Russian. Is that right?
No,
I think it's just Eastern European. They're vaguely Eastern European. He literally does. I will say this: the writer does like really fun stuff where like they'll like say something and it's just like the word bubble just says like vaguely Russian. I don't know, and it's just whatever Clint's interpretation is, and I love those little moments. Those are really funny.
Yeah,
like there's a bunch of stuff when they're hanging out on the building up top and it just says like neighbors murmuring or something like that. Like that's just like, it's just a funny little, like, he doesn't care, so he's not paying attention to what's being said. I do like how they fuck his name up too. There's a lot of good writing. This is good writing. It's just it's just a little bit too much like flashing back and forth, and
they again, he's just, there's just something missing to make him just an all-around likable
guy. Yeah. He does. That's kind of why Kate steals the show, I think, because she's the likable character and she's the one you're like rooting for. Like, and he's just this fuck up that she's saddled with that she has to work with in order to, like, I don't know, graduate into being like, I'm now a superhero kind of thing. I guess we did kind of mention the Russian guys, but the overall, if you could call it that, story arc to this is that there's some, I don't know, vaguely Russian gang that's mafia, I suppose, that's like owns a section of New York, and they're kind of like hiking up the rent and fucking making these like normal people's lives living hell and like evicting them and shit. And he buys his building and takes care of them. It's kind of like he buys a family and like takes care of them kind of in a weird way. And there's a lot of neighbors hanging out and a lot of stuff like that. Like the flooding issue is pretty fun in a weird way, but like, yeah,
I think it was an homage to Hurricane Sandy or whatever.
Yeah.
I do love the fashion of the vaguely Russian gang.
Yeah.
Tracksuit. You a big tracksuit fan, Patrick?
Well, especially
what do they call them? Tracksuit vampires or something like that?
Tracksuit Dracula.
Draculas, that's it. Yeah, there you go. Vaguely Eastern European.
Yeah. They're
Transylvanian.
But then the leader of the gang is that really old guy, and he's dressed like he's like a hip hop artist from like 2009.
Yeah, like all white. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of hip hop artists,
Al, I will say the Bros is way less annoying when you read it issue by issue and it's a month apart. When you're binge reading it, I can understand. You're like, good God.
Okay, yeah, this was.
But like, and it's just kind of like a funny thing. But like, when you do read back-to-back issues like this, it gets like a little exhausting. But I found it hilarious when I first read it.
And every issue starting with like, oh, this looks bad. And then bro. You're right. Reading 4 trade paperbacks of that, it really starts to add up.
Yeah.
It's a lot. But speaking about rap icons, so there's one part where Kate and Hawkeye are talking, and she makes a reference to Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Hawkeye doesn't know who that is because I guess the joke is he's old or something or out of touch.
I think it's more the out of touch, but also a little bit of the old. But yeah.
Yeah, and I was going to go into this whole rant about my 70-year-old mother knows who Jay-Z is, and Hawkeye's a 35-year-old man. There's no way he wouldn't know who Jay-Z is. But then I thought about it a little more. And in a later issue, he really draws attention to all the concussions he's had on the Avengers.
Brain
And
damage.
so you add up the depression he's clearly suffering from, self-destructive personality, memory loss. I mean, he might be dealing with like full-scale CTE and like concussion effects. He might
probably
be like a
is.
football player, like 50-year-old football player brain.
I'm almost positive that in the same panel where he says, I don't know who Jay-Z is, he says, of course I know who Jay-Z is.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure he's
could be
like,
wrong,
you
but
don't
I
know who
think he does.
Jay-Z is? And then he's like, yeah, no, of course I know who Jay-Z is.
Oh, I forgot that part. Well, there goes my whole concussion theory.
But I like that theory. And well, when you first said it, I had the same thought when I read that line. And then I think that's why him saying it 2 lines after that was like, oh, he was just fucking with her.
All right. Well, I still want to say that Clint should really watch out for additional concussions because it could lead to some long term.
The Christmas issue, I did like how that issue starts off, and I think they did this on purpose, but it really could be any 2D like Nintendo, Super Nintendo side-scrolling fighting game, but it very much looked like Maximum Carnage, or I think there was a Super Nintendo game called Captain America and the Avengers, and it looked just like that. It was like a little side-scrolling fighting game, and that's how they draw it in the first few pages.
Oh yeah, in those panels. Yeah. That's fun. There's a lot of I like the free reign they clearly gave Matt Fraction to write like weird stories with Hawkeye, and either a brilliant collaboration between him and David Aja, or just Matt Fraction's going, this is what I need on the page kind of thing. I think based on the way he draws, like it's either a perfectly made match, or they collaborate really well together. But
I like the art in general, but just the composition of the pages, it is very interesting because they do use like negative space, and
yeah, he leaves a lot of white space. You don't see that a lot in comics.
But they use it in a way that kind of, there might be writing or something like that inside of the negative space, or they just do a lot of clever stuff with the composition.
For instance, in that Christmas episode, I mean, just on that first page we're on, like he's on the ground. It's a panel of him and Wolverine. It's just their heads. And the panel with Hawkeye is lower because he's like sitting on the ground, and the panel with Wolverine's up higher. And there's just negative space above either of them. You could easily have just had a longer panel and shown sky above Hawkeye and shown more of Wolverine's chest, but they just cut it for no reason whatsoever. But it just placed Wolverine up above him, as in like, I'm standing up here, you're down there. And it's just this quick, subtle thing. And you're like, that's fucking. And then I do like how that issue kind of constantly sticks like just this really flat, iconic looking clock in your face and just goes like, hey, it's midnight. And then it's like December 18th, December 7th, like kind of thing. And
a cool note about the color work. So the trade paperback I had a little section where I think his name
Matt Hollingsworth talks
Matt
about.
Hollingsworth.
Is it Matt? Yeah.
It's Matt Hollingsworth was talking about how he colors. And so apparently what he does is he doesn't color panel by panel or page by page. He lays out the entire comic issue in a grid and colors it kind of sectionally and like with a reduced color palette. So like the skin color on one page, he'll use as the sky color in like 2 pages down and that kind of thing. So he'll kind of swap in colors like components and do the whole comic as one grid, which I thought was kind of a neat.
You see the way he colors, you see that a lot more now, but at the time it was definitely pretty groundbreaking. Like, I mean, or in terms of just like, hey, somebody actually put a ton of thought into the color theory of an actual issue of comics instead of like, yeah, there you go. Instead of just like, coloring panel by panel and be like, the sky is blue, the grass is green, the building is gray, like kind of thing. Like they actually like went out of their way to think about it as a full image, the entire comic, which is crazy. That's usually not a thing.
I will say, sticking with the artwork, I love all of the covers.
Yeah, the covers are great. Yeah.
David Aja did most of these ones?
I believe so, yeah.
A lot of Avatar: The Last Airbender references in the covers.
Oh yeah.
I was reading the Flood issue in front of my daughter, and she saw Kate Bishop's shoes and goes, "Is she wearing heels?" And then I was like, "Yes, she is." And she goes, "What's she doing?" And then she was asking me what Kate was doing in every panel as I was reading it. And then I got to the part where Kate tears the bottom of her dress off and steals that guy's shoes. And she goes, "Why did she take off her heels?" And I was like, "Because she's got to run now." And then it was just really adorable how focused she was on Kate changing her shoes. That's all I got to say. Really.
How old is she now?
She just turned 3.
Oh wow, yeah. That's adorable.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. And she was very interested in what Kate was doing and why she was doing it.
Okay, so I want to talk about this mysterious redhead love interest. Does she ever get a name? Is it Cherry, or is that her actual?
No, her name is Penelope something.
Penelope.
Yeah.
Not Cherry. It's not Cherry.
He does kind of jokingly say, "Is your name actually fucking Cherry?" And she's like, "No."
I didn't understand why Hawkeye was so into her. Her character is fucking awful.
It's not a character. She's just a sex pot there to be sexy.
He, without question, he just met this woman, immediately got attacked just from meeting her. And then he just decides to commit a bunch of crimes with her to help her out. He's going after the bad guys. He's breaking into their stuff, but he's still breaking into their club. He's beating the shit out of all of them unprovoked. He commits all these crimes for this rando woman.
There's also a funny beat. Well, first of all, first we can definitely circle back to that topic. Never mind. We should stay there. Keep going.
No, I mean, that didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
I get that Hawkeye's on this downward spiral, but it seemed like it was a big jump all of a sudden for him to be basically robbing people to help his girlfriend.
I think
I don't know.
the gist is that he's horrible at being in relationships, and he always picks the wrong person for him, and
But I mean, what a terrible judgment call.
Blah, blah,
Like,
blah.
oh yeah, instead of just reaching out, and he never reaches out to anybody else to help out with stuff. Even having
he
the
asks
tenant
Tony to untangle his DVR cords,
which just makes it even crazier that he wouldn't ask Tony to help him fight the gangsters instead of having his tenants fight the gangsters for him.
Yeah.
Well, later he sort of brings in other Avengers to help at the very end. But I agree. It's very. I mean, maybe this is the concussions. Maybe that decision making is the result of multiple concussions. And
That could be true. Actually, we'll go with that.
He's also I think he kind of. I mean, I guess they're his friends and everything, but I guess the idea is that he sort of sees them as real superheroes, quote unquote. They're not really his friends, they're kind of just he's like a normal dude walking around with gods and stuff. So I think he just kind of feels out of place. Maybe it's just, I don't want to ask Tony for help because he's probably busy mentality sort of dumb thing. But I love how after the Flood issue, when Kate's old VW is underwater, her purple bug, it's in the next issue or so she picks them up in a new VW. That's purple.
Yeah, well,
totally different,
rich,
same
right?
car, newer model, same color. But also she says every 5 seconds that she's super rich, and it's really funny that she just replaced her car with a new car.
Definitely.
Well, yeah, she's like a socialite, which I think that's a really interesting, going back to Alessandro's point about how Hawkeye has no secret identity. Kate Bishop doesn't really seem to either. And it would be interesting if you had a storyline where she's still living her New York socialite life, but everyone knows that she's a superhero, and then she has the superhero stuff going on as well. I just loved Kate Bishop. I think that would have been a more interesting take than her being more the supporting role while we kind of follow Clint.
Well, she must. I mean, she's got to have her own comic now, right? Or her own title now.
It looks like she did actually have her own solo series back in 2016, 2018.
Oh yeah, she did. Yeah. I mean, obviously it's not still around. Marvel in recent years has started and stopped so many different runs of so many different comics and started them at number ones again that I am so lost. I have no idea where to even pick back up and find anything anymore.
I mean, for the last year, I downloaded Marvel Unlimited, and I've been trying to get caught up because I kind of took a break for comics for about 10 years, from like 2011 until about 2018 or so. So I'm trying to catch up with all the stuff that happened back then. I have to pay attention to the year next to the title because it's like Avengers #1, 2017, Avengers #1, 2015, Avengers
when
#1.
was the last time you actually looked at the year?
Yeah, I'm like, why do they keep doing this? Why do they keep doing this?
I have no idea. It got
Well,
so confusing. I literally
I
stopped
think they're just trying everything they can because they can't sell comics. Like comic number sales.
That's for sure part of it.
Comic sales are nosediving like year after.
They want people that just walk into a store or online rather to be able to go grab #1, like right, and be like, oh, it's only on issue 3. I'll grab the last 3 issues or whatever. But what they're doing is really like, now I don't know which #2 goes with which #1 because everything's so confused. Like it's just like you've had like 5 Avengers #1s in the last like 10 years, like 5 years. Like that's crazy. Like how am I supposed to keep track of where it all starts and stops?
Yeah, but also that might work to get a new reader to pick up a #1. But I think it was either New Avengers or Avengers. One of the ones that was a reboot at #1, the first page is Black Panther. They're already like dealing with the Secret Wars stuff happening.
It makes no sense. So it doesn't even matter.
Yeah,
you're doing nothing. You're achieving nothing but confusing the fuck out of everybody.
Well, neither Marvel nor DC is selling any comics because nobody buys them. So exactly. I guess neither strategy is working very well.
I buy comics, Al.
Kids these days are into the manga.
I mean, I read about this. I think like in the early 90s, top end comic lines like Batman, Spider-Man, that kind of stuff. I mean, they were moving millions of copies of an issue. And now I think Batman sells like under 300,000. So that's like quite a dip in comic consumption. So I guess they're just desperately.
I'm sure COVID didn't help anything. Not that
well, this was before. This was like a couple years.
Oh, I know it was on a downward trend. I'm just saying, like that certainly didn't help.
Oh, I'm sure it's even. Yeah, it's probably even worse.
That probably hurt brick and mortar stores way worse than online stuff because I read half of my comics online. I do like to go to the store every once in a while and I'll grab certain stuff. If I buy anything, it's usually on iPad or Comixology or whatever. And that was our segment called "The Current State of the Comics World." Back to Hawkeye.
Speaking of segments, all right, let's bring it in. Everybody's favorite segment. Do you pass the Bechdel?
The Bechdel test. Bechdel test.
Do you pass the Bechdel
How's it go? Bechdel test.
Let's talk about it. Yeah. So America's favorite segment where 3 men talk about comics written by men, mostly about men, and whether they represent women well. So let's figure that out.
Well, I didn't finish the run, but I'm assuming based on what your tone of voice is, the answer is badly.
Yeah. But so Hawkeye, Matt Fraction, David Aja's Hawkeye, stamp sound, it fails the Bechdel test. There ain't a single scene with only women in it where they're not talking about a man.
Yeah, I feel like the only chance you have is when, his ex-wife and Black Widow and his girlfriend are all together, and then they're like,
but they're about him. Yeah, but they're talking about him.
That's the only chance you get. Because most of the comic is Clint talking to Kate 90% of the time, I would say.
The Hawkeye run by Matt Fraction, David Aja, you failed the Bechdel test. You're toxic. Matt Fraction, educate yourself and have more scenes with only women in it.
Yeah, I think this would probably pass. I'm still not sure what the Makomori test is. I have not.
It's
more of like a solid character arc for a female character. Like they're not just background, blah blah blah. So I mean, obviously Kate Bishop fits that. I think. So it definitely passes because like she's a major character and it's about her.
Yeah. Does she really have an arc? Is she that different?
Of course she does. What do you want from it? This is the weird. You're going to do this every time now.
Of course she grows as a character. I'm not sure she's a different person at the end of this than she was at issue 1.
So I didn't read the issues of her in California, but I'd skim it. And I did at the end, I guess her dad turns to a life of crime and she calls her dad and tells him that she's going to go after him, right? I mean, I don't know. That seems like a pretty big, she goes from being kind of a wealthy socialite.
Yeah, she does lose some of the innocent naiveness to her. So all right, so Matt Fraction, I guess you passed the Makomori test, so that's good, but you did fail the Bechdel test.
I mean, this book did make Kate Bishop into who she is now and why the fuck anybody gives a shit about her at all. I will say that. So, I mean, there's something that has to be something.
I will say I was eager to do this. I had not read this before a few days ago for this episode.
Oh, okay.
I can see the TV show pulling a lot from this run for her.
Definitely are. Yeah.
In the TV
There's a
show.
scene of them driving that car with cars chasing behind them, and he's shooting arrows behind them, and it's like blowing up or doing nothing.
Did the trade paperbacks you have get that like Young Avengers annual issue where she hooks up with?
So for me,
everybody?
that's when it's in trade paperback, it's in the end of volume 1, but I have the hardback one and it's at the end of the whole thing, which is volume 1 and 2. So clearly it's not meant to be in there in terms of like where it's in there in the story. Like you're not supposed to like read it in the middle. It's just, that's the first time Kate and Clint meet. And I think they thought it was important to put in like the volume 1 of whatever run this is. So like for instance, like I said, I have the hardback and that's volume 1 and 2 in one thing, and they stuck it at the end still. So I think it's just like something that they were like, here's a footnote, read this if you want.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add, but she's getting it. Like she's got multiple people wrapped around her finger and she's just making out with little boys right and left. So good for her. Go get it, Kate.
Wait, what happens in this?
Well, she's dating Patriot. Well, she's dating
Patriot, and then they get in like a weird like, I don't want to date right now. Can't we just be friends? And then he gets all mad and leaves. And in the middle of that, she starts training with Hawkeye. Long story short, Speed asks her out and she says yes because Patriot's like in the doorway and hears them. So she just wants him to be jealous or something like that.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, she was just like, I don't know if I actually care about Speed or not, but I just wanted to make him angry.
Speed laid it on thick, by the way. That boy was all over her. I mean, not much.
He moves fast and more than one now. I think that's what you're trying to say.
Yeah. And then in a scene that it has never happened in real life, Patriot is playing video games, and she like accosts him as he's playing video games and makes out with him, which is it never happened to me. And I play lots of video games, but no girl I've ever dated has come up to me, like has seen me play video games as a turn on.
Clearly, you haven't found the right girl because this exact thing has happened to me.
I guess, or I mean, I guess the other option that this is a fictional situation that has never happened in reality.
But it has.
Sticking to Bechdel test and women and all that, what is it with like Marvel and redheads? The Daredevil thing we read had a redhead in it just to be sexy, and now this one has.
Are you talking about Daredevil himself? Get these red hair.
Rim shot.
And he is one sexy man. Have you seen those abs? He purposely walks around without a shirt on. That son of a bitch.
No rebuttal there. I mean, I agree with all that. No, but then Hawkeye also has random redhead sex spot. Like, what is it with Marvel and redheaded women as temptresses?
I don't know. I mean, Mary Jane,
also a redhead.
I guess Black Widow.
Jean Grey.
There is a lot of
Grey is not a temptress. Is she? She's not. Well, I guess she kind of.
Well, I meant more the last two arcs that we discussed on this episode. Both prominently feature a redhead being there just to be sexy.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's something about the red hair that kind of conveys, especially with the art style. It's like danger. Cherry bomb.
I thought that Penelope woman was Black Widow. Like when I was just kind of skimming through it.
Yeah, you can basically not tell
sexy redhead. It's going to be Natasha or whatever.
Can we go all the way back? I know we're jumping all over the place, viewers who are not or may not actually be viewers.
Probably more
listeners. We all go all the way back to where Hawkeye's jumping through the air naked, and it covers up his dick and balls with a little Hawkeye symbol. What do you think he is on the scale of Snyder Zeus?
Oh, dude,
Let's analyze his body. Let's analyze his pudgy, not really having abs body.
Joe, I'm sorry. This doesn't register on the.
Yeah, it's not even on the scale, right? I mean, he's a human being, so he's got to be on a scale.
That is nowhere near. It doesn't even approach the universe of the Snyder Zeus scale.
They could have gone a little bit more into the definition of everything, because he does kind of look like very cherubish. And the fact that she comments on his abs was kind of like, what? He kind of looks a little bit, out of shape.
Yeah, she literally says abs, and it's like he doesn't even look like he has abs.
It's true. We have actually seen him, and there's not a lot of definition on those abs.
Also, the next page over that has the gun is pointing like silhouetted across the panel, and he's basically just pointing his taint at the camera. And
do you think that's because
the silhouette of the gun is going across it? And I was like, that's good, that's clever.
But do you think that's because when Matt Fraction like wrote the script, he imagined Hawkeye as being super ripped, and then David Aja undercut him and made him pudgy and formless?
I absolutely think that's what happened. Yeah.
Oh, I wonder if they were mad.
I think David Aja was like
over that. Do you think Matt Fraction was like, I need definition in his abs?
I need more abs.
He was like, Kate's
with the abs.
It's like Kate's one comment about abs will make no sense, David.
I did like I'm looking at this issue when he's fighting these people naked, but there was a few little lines where people mistake him for Iron Fist, and I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was funny.
Issue.
He's like, it's okay, I'm an Avenger, and they're like, are you Iron Fist?
Yeah, the first page of the first issue, I was like, he looks a lot like Iron Fist, which makes sense because didn't David Aja do the Immortal Iron Fist stuff? He at least did the covers to him, I think. I do the Storm issue. I liked the dynamic with his neighbor Gil that does the grill.
Yeah.
And man, that issue made it so that when fucking Gil gets shot in the face later on the run, like that hurt, man.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck.
That's like when that happens, you're like, motherfucker.
Like, again, it's not bad writing because they made me care about this stupid idiot that just sits at the grill all day enough to like feel something when he died. But and whatever it is with Hawkeye, I'm still like, fuck that dude. When he died, I was like, fuck you, Clint. You got this poor man killed, you piece of shit.
Oh, see, I don't know. I didn't care at all about Gil, but the dog got me. The dog was a sweetheart.
Oh,
Lucky?
yeah. Lucky.
Yeah, that's good. Pizza Dog is one of the best parts of the run.
Oh, yeah.
The Pizza Dog issue is fantastic.
Yeah, I enjoyed the dog-centered issue. And
that was really good.
What life is like as an Avengers dog.
Yeah, Hawkeye Pizza Dog issue. It's all about Lucky, who can't really understand human words except for 5 different words, and it's all from his POV, and he's like investigating a murder. It's pretty great.
I just flipped through. I'm at it's near the 3 girlfriends thing. That's the part where she goes, "Don't hang out with him. He'll only let you down." And it's his superpower. And she goes, "Oh yeah? Well, I don't hang out with him. He hangs out with me." And then she says bitch and punches him in the face. That's the part I forgot. It's amazing. Kate's the best. Anyway, Pizza Dog, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I like how they represent sort of like his speech bubbles are just sort of images. Like they're image bubbles because that's, I guess, how he sees the world is just sort of images and stuff. It was cool. He was a little dog detective. He was solving his little dog crime. Sweet little issue.
His little dog crime, which happened to be
a real human homicide.
I think what made me care about Gil was his relationship with his dad that mends, and they'd recognize they love each other. You feel it's really great for them because they've like reestablished their connection, and then he fucking dies like 2 issues later.
I don't know why I keep laughing when you're talking about these touching something that touched you. I'm just really laughing at the fact that they shot him in the head right after they made you care about him.
Yeah.
But it also, so Patrick, going back to your earlier point about like, why would Hawkeye get into the car with this woman and all that? I mean, the whole arc with the East European Draculas or whatever, none of it makes any sense. Like killing Gil didn't make any sense. Like they don't seem to actually be doing what they need to be doing to get Hawkeye out of the building and get the building back. Like murdering, I thought it made very little sense. And I don't know if it was the time jumping, but like their whole motivation and the plan they put forward seemed to just make
they seem very ineffectual as a gang.
Yeah, but even the clown, who's I guess supposed to be like imposing and scary as a villain, didn't seem to really have a good plan either. And it just didn't make any sense. I don't know. They also refer to Manhattan real estate, and that building is clearly in Brooklyn. So another New York side note.
Oh, I was going to say, jumping back to the second issue with the circus. I think it's the second issue with the circus. So they find out that Cirque du Soleil people are hypnotizing all of the like supervillains like Kingpin, Madame Mask at this event, and then they rob them. and Clint stops them. But correct me if I'm wrong, he then steals all of that money for himself.
He just
correct?
drives away in the boat with all of their money.
No, he takes their
A
money.
lot of it is flying out the back of the boat. He doesn't seem to care. I think it's almost like he doesn't care if it ends up in his possession or not.
But isn't his origin story that he was a thief or whatever? I think it's his character.
Yeah.
Just takes the money.
But it's, again, I'm like, he's broken so many laws.
He also blatantly tells Tony about it in the Christmas episode. He's like, well, I've got money. He's like, I've got money. He's like, I know you have money, Clint, but like, we can just, like, I'll pay for it. Merry Christmas. He's like, no, I mean, like, I have money now. He's like, oh, how'd you do that? I don't know. Wall Street, like kind of thing. Like he just like, and it's like, does Tony not know what that means that he probably stole it? I mean, I guess when he's stealing it from the bad guys and stealing it from thieves, I guess he doesn't care really, like when it comes down to it.
Well, I also like how as an Avenger, you see someone who has the ability to hypnotize all the villains. And your thought is just like, well, I'll just take money and go. I was like, well, maybe that's a skill you could use to fight villains.
Yeah, maybe put
maybe
handcuffs on all of them while they're hypnotized.
Yeah, maybe call Tony on your iPhone
and be like, hey, check out this amazing technology I found.
Yeah, just say like, hey, Kingpin and Madame Mask.
Apparently, if you put on a really convincing circus show, all the villains will show up. And we can just arrest them all.
So it's like, yeah, that's like a pretty legit
old-fashioned hypnotism, though. You put a little guy up and throw some knives at him and spin him around in a circle, hypnotized.
But it is weird too, because like, you read a run like this, like Hawkeye or Daredevil we just read, but like this is the same universe that has Professor X in it. Like, why can't he just mind wipe Kingpin? I mean, why can't he just?
It's unethical, and he'll never do it, except for when he does it all the time.
Charles Xavier.
And then he does it again.
Fucking lunatic, and you can't. He's not a rational human being. You cannot.
There's nothing Charles Xavier has ever done that makes any
fucking
sense.
Sociopath. Literally I think he just gets off on fucking with kids' lives. You know what I mean?
I think, I mean, 70 years of X-Men comics have really shown that.
I mean, he's insanely creepy in the current run because he's got that fucking thing on his head all the time. So you can never really see what his facial expressions are. And he does some really cold shit. And it's like,
all he's doing, and he's just walking around in his like black bodysuit. Just
why? Hey, I do like how he wears like skin tight bodies.
No one else. All the other mutants are just in normal clothes on the island. And he's like, hey, everybody.
Welcome to Mutant Utopia.
I mean, I guess he was tired from like all those ill-fitting like 90s giant suits in his wheelchair. And now he's like, whatever, I can walk.
He's sick of the plaid blanket draped across his legs.
He's basically dressed up. I mean, he's walking around like the Pulp Fiction gimp. He's got like a Zen tie on and just like a face covering. It's unreal that's his choice.
How do you think he gets into that? Do you think he has one of those long like wetsuit zippers that he pulls up over his head and then drops back and it's dangling behind him? Or do you think he has somebody zip him into that every day?
There's no way. I think they sew it onto him. Like they sew it closed around him. There's no way you can slip into something that.
So he's just got the zipper that goes like from like crotch to asshole, like all the way around the bottom.
That's it.
So he can use it. He just never gets out of the suit.
I mean, he is all right. We don't have to talk about BDSM Dr. X right now, but Professor X. Sorry. Well, I guess maybe
it's an interesting side note. That's all I'm saying. All right, back to Pizza Dog. There's amazing.
But anyway, but in this world where like, I don't know, the tracksuit Draculas are roughing people up, the Sentry is around. Like, it's just weird. All right, well, I guess let's go back to Hawkeye and wrap up. I mean, unless
let's talk about Pizza Dog and wrap it up.
I don't have anything more. I just thought it was a cute episode and he solved his little dog crime. I don't know what else to say about Pizza Dog.
I'm just glad he doesn't die because he goes over the side of the building for a second and you think he's dead. I mean,
he gets shot like point blank with a fucking shotgun in one of the issues towards the end.
Well, I mean, he dies at the end.
No, he's alive. He's in the next panel. I was like, how is he alive? But
he's definitely. No, wait a minute. He died.
He's bandaged up in like the last panel. He's alive.
He's sitting in the kitchen with him.
No, he's definitely dead.
My first read through, I assumed he was dead because it was like such a point blank shot from a shotgun to his like just all of his
No,
injuries.
no, oh no, I'm talking about the end of the arc when he full on dies.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm talking about too.
He's not dead?
No.
Oh
And
yeah, there he is. He is alive.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's alive.
there he is. Oh wow, I missed that. I just assumed he died.
Just gonna
That's look at that. If you don't pay attention to details, you miss little stuff like the dog lives.
Yeah, I had to confirm it.
Guys, the point is that this arc ends with Kate getting in a car with Pizza Dog and driving to California. So I don't know why you guys are insisting on discussing a comic we're not even discussing right now.
Well, I just wanted to, everyone's safe and happy at the end.
He also, I mean,
Clint
he
and
does-
Kate kind of break up, sort of, and then that's sort of the end of the run. Bit.
Pizza Dog does nothing in California. Like they go through all the trouble of getting him there, but then he really does nothing while they're there.
I think it's more about she takes the dog and less about that the dog has an arc in California. I think it's more about like she's like, fuck you, Lucky's coming with me, he's my dog.
I don't know.
And
Well,
she's like, and he's like, hey.
they should have done a Mako Mori test on the dog and had him have a more important arc as well.
I think he's got a pretty good arc. I mean, it's for a dog.
That poor
They
dog.
dedicated an
that poor dog
entire issue to
probably-
just the dog. That's
that whole,
kind of insane
that dog must hate people. Like if I were that dog, I'd be like, people fucking suck. Like they shoot at you for no reason. They're the worst.
Yeah, I would hate everyone. Why would you continue to hang out with Hawkeye or Hawkeye?
All right. I guess we can wrap up. Any other thoughts or comments on the run, or if not, we
What's
can
your
wrap up.
well? What's yours is overall? After we've been talking about it, Al, has it shifted your opinion ever so slightly? Into
Not at all.
more your cup of tea?
Nope, I don't recommend this. Not really my cup of tea. I mean, it had some good comedic moments, and I liked Kate, but honestly, I don't think it's worth reading 22 issues of this stuff or whatever.
It is fun. I will say, actually talking about it, I kind of have the same impression as Napoleon Dynamite, where when that movie came out, I saw it in theaters and did not think it was that funny. But then after the movie, when you would like quote it and stuff like that, it was very funny. So I don't know.
When you're reading it in the moment, it's not necessarily hilarious. But then when I'm just like, you should see this part with Kate when she does this thing, and you're like, shit, that is fun. Yeah.
Finish on Kate though. Issue 9, it starts with her in bed, and it's Spider-Woman, Black Widow, and Mockingbird at her bed asking him all these questions about Clint, and it just cuts to her peeking her night mask up, and it just says, she goes, "Did you guys just come into my apartment?"
Walk into my apartment.
Like she's not phased that there's 3 fucking Avengers there. She's just
You guys just walk into my apartment.
Well, it's just funny because she's the junior hero, right?
Yeah.
But the way she's acting kind of makes it seem like she's the more like
she is sort of the female version of him, but the version of him that we all like. Whereas him in reality are just like, he's kind of a dick. Even when he steals the cab from her in Madripoor, he doesn't know it's her. Like if he knew it was her and he was like, just fucked with Kate for a second for no reason. Like he was just stealing a cab from somebody. He's just an asshole. It's kind of funny. But also he's really
also like, I think it's the first issue. He gets out of the hospital and he's in a wheelchair, and he takes the wheelchair and he just throws it into traffic for no real reason other than he just wanted to be done with the wheelchair, but it causes an accident and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So it opens with him just being a fucking prick for no reason.
So going back to Madripoor, one kind of gag that I laughed at like more than I probably should have was when he steals the cab, and it like his inner monologue is trying to be cool of like, a city like Madripoor, nobody expects you to go or know where you're going anyway. And then the next panel is like, okay, apparently they do expect you to know where you're supposed to go. And my customers are very mad. And like, I thought
apparently they're very much about service and accommodation, and I have done a very bad job. I would have lost my job in 20 minutes. Yeah, that was pretty funny. I liked the Madripoor issues are pretty fun in general, but mostly because of the Kate dynamic of what she's doing in the background while he's fucking around and not accomplishing anything.
I kind of thought it was a weird cop-out. I was waiting for there to be another twist where Clint actually was the murderer, and they made up that story just to keep Kate from still respecting him. I was kind of waiting for that because it didn't really make sense. The whole conversation between Hawkeye, S.H.I.E.L.D., and Captain America, it didn't make sense that they're talking about a tape of Marines. It seemed like...
I think that is the case.
No, but it was the Navy SEALs that killed him.
No,
Well, that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying the opposite of that. I don't think that's true at all. I think the scenes you see earlier with him and Captain America and Maria Hill, it's clear that like when they talk to Kate later, they're trying to hide it from her, like, and like redeem him in her eyes. And maybe he even asked them to, but I think it was him.
Because if you go back and read the conversation they have when they first,
because if you look at it through the lens of they're lying later versus not lying up front, everything makes sense. But if you look at it through the lens of like they're lying up front, and then at the end they're telling the truth that it's the Marines that actually did it, then none of their conversation really makes much sense. Like it's like, why are they talking about this in this way? Or like, why are they mentioning this? Like, why is it so important?
Yeah, it was very uncertain for me though, but I was leaning towards they were lying to just keep Kate from losing, because I also find it hard to believe that Hawkeye's never killed somebody. How's that possible?
I mean, how do you shoot somebody in the eye with an arrow and not push it through their brain?
Well, he also shot that guy.
Like, how was Kate not killed somebody, let alone a Hawkeye?
What happens later? So later, the clown dude stabs Clint through the ear with an arrow, but like he just goes deaf. He doesn't die from it. Apparently, it was weird, but apparently you can.
Well, his brain is so scrambled it probably just like went into some of the empty spaces.
Again, so it's the concussions. We always come back to the concussions. I mean, I really think that's a constant throughout this series.
At any rate, I really like this book because it's artistic, and the freedom that they have as artists is really kind of awesome. And they make Kate amazing. And yes, it fails the Bechdel test. And yeah, there's a lot of things that you're like, that could have been written a little bit better. Like, I didn't really love that part. I don't really love this part, kind of thing. Or like just jumping around with the time and stuff. But overall, I really still dig it.
I'm sticking to my guns. If you want to get into comics or have time, read something else.
I mean, I think if you're a Hawkeye fan and are excited for the show, it'd probably be fun to read, but
no one is a Hawkeye fan, Patrick. Did you just say, I think if you're a Hawkeye
we didn't even talk about Jeremy Renner. We all don't like.
Think about what you just said, Patrick. Nobody's a Hawkeye fan.
Again, I feel like Jeremy Renner, it's like pick a character. It's Jeremy Renner. It's like a blend of the worst parts of the Ultimate version as well as the worst parts of the mainstream version. Like he's got the family and everything, but he's not like lighthearted. He's an asshole. I don't know. I just
he's the worst parts of both.
Also a Japanese murder ninja.
That too. Yeah.
He was that for a couple minutes.
Why is he just a Japanese murder ninja? He's just a murder ninja. Why do you gotta label it?
Well, I don't. It was in Japan, and he was speaking horrible Japanese.
Oh, they referenced that he was doing that quite a bit and all over the place. That was just one instance.
Do you get the impression? Like, I just feel the impression overall with Hawkeye as a character that Marvel really want to make him a cool character that everyone's gonna love, this cool anti-hero, and it's just never. I always get the impression that they try too hard with him a little bit. I don't know. I've never really understood why he's considered part of the main Avengers lineup, even. Like, who cares about this guy?
But I think they need somebody to be the sort of, not that he's like Batman character-wise, but like Batman in the sense that he's not a superpowered person. I think they want a normie in there.
And I understand that from the team ensemble perspective, but I feel like he's had numerous solo titles where there are other characters in the Marvel universe that should be getting a solo. Like, I just feel like it's weird that they think he has standalone potential to sell books. And I just I've never seen what the exact appeal of his character is.
I mean, honestly, I don't understand. Like, I think Wolverine sucks, but he's been like a main character for years and always.
That is a solid note. I think maybe with Hawkeye, in terms of this run specifically, that this is their Adam Strange. Like, this is their like Mr. Miracle. That they're just like, hey, fuck, go have fun with it. Like, I don't think they're trying to make him cool. I think they were just like, this guy's got a weird idea and he's got an artist on board, and let's let him run with it. And if it's some editor that put them together or whatever where this originated from, like, great. Like, if I'm not giving someone credit, but like, it seems like Matt Fraction was just like, hey, I got a weird fucking idea. Can I do this? And they're like, well, and now I've got this artist in mind, like, and they were just like, yeah, go for it, because we don't really give a fuck about Hawkeye. No one's been able to do anything with him. So I think that's what this was more about than like.
Well, this run aside, I mean, even like I remember in the 90s,
yeah, for sure.
Like even like in the video games, he'd be the one of the 3 or 4 playable characters out of all of the Avengers. Why him? I never really understood why they would be like Hawkeye. I'm like, why? I'd rather be the Vision.
He was kind of like the miniature Captain America back in the day. I mean, he led the West Coast Avengers. He had his own team of Avengers.
Right. So why was he the leader of the Avengers though? Like, why did they choose? I guess that's my point. Is this run aside, I actually overall. I did enjoy this run just for the Kate Bishop stuff alone, but just the character of Clint Barton, I've just never given a shit about. I'm more interested in Quicksilver than I am.
Oh, wow. I definitely do not agree with that. But I mean, I think you're just pulling a name out of your ass, but there's no way that I give a shit more about Quicksilver than Hawkeye. I mean, Hawkeye. Sorry, what did I say?
I mean,
is it Hawkeye or Hawkeye? What have you been saying?
First of all, how about you give him a decent pair of abs, and then we can start talking about how many comics.
Yeah,
that was
give him something even remotely on the Snyder Zoo scale.
This amorphous, pudgy belly he's got. Come on. All right, so I guess we can wrap it. So we've all given
we're done.
Our general impressions. Patrick did like the run and recommends it, although he doesn't understand nor like Hawkeye as a character. Joe also seems to not understand the character, but nevertheless just doesn't. He seems to take the ignorance is bliss road and just is okay with it and isn't questioning why Marvel is hawking Hawkeye right and left. I also didn't understand him. I do wish he had better abs, and I don't want people to read this comic.
So it's a 2 out of 3. Hey, we should have a rating system.
Oh, so 2 out of 3 would be a pass, right? That would be a read.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if 2 of the 3 of us is saying read the book, then yeah, that's a pass.
So it's like 4 out of 5 dentists. Well, not quite. Those are different proportions, but I mean, majority.
Yeah, 2 out of 3 people on the Mobius Couch think you should read this book and that it's fun.
Oh, that's a good point.
Mainly Kate Bishop.
I just realized we will never tie on something.
Yeah, it's perfect.
This works out. Sure. Insert audio of like a stamp, boom, noise. This is Mobius Couch approved. Well, this is a good thing now.
I feel like you begrudgingly approve.
Well, because I voted no, but the Mobius Couch is a unit.
Yeah, the Mobius Couch. But I feel like you begrudge. I feel like it's like a 2.3. Like I feel like you're there a little. You know?
No, it's 2 out of 3. You leave me out of it.
All right, 2 out of 3.
All right, so this should be a new thing we start. All right. So anyway, pass. Mobius Couch recommends rating. Stamp noise.
Stamp noise.
All right, goodbye.
That's
all right. Goodbye, everybody.
All right, bye, guys.